Aloha again, everyone. This is Kamaile with Wellness with Mana, and I am starting this beautiful gut health call. We meet every Wednesday at 12 noon Hawaii time, 3 p.m. right now Pacific time, 4 p.m. Mountain, and of course 6 p.m. on the East Coast. And aloha. And we offer just a beautiful arrayment of educational pieces that deal with our health and how we can actually not only live longer, but also live the healthiest expression of ourself right now. And that's with our newest technology and with our company that we represent, and which is called LifeVantage. So welcome again to this call. This week in particular, we always like to highlight what is very important for our health is our gut microbiome and our gut health. And so I'm going to be sharing some slides. Normally, I am not the professional that does it. It is my dear friend Susan Alden who comes on once a month to share this beautiful information on gut health. And we have gone down a rabbit hole together, both learning about functional medicine. We've come from various backgrounds of indigenous health and healing. And I think where some of my strengths come from is really knowing and understanding my Hawaiian heritage but you can probably relate it back to some of the things that in your culture and your history with your ancestors, that you might find some similarities that where gut was really, really important for us to not only address, but we knew of instinctively through the foods that we ate, through the balance that we had in our lifestyle, and really a holistic point of view. And gut health, as they are really, exploring more and more about the microbiome and how significantly important this is really coming to light in these last 10, 15 years, but especially within the last several years. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and share my screen and share some information. And we're going to share a little bit about obviously the science and kind of what the biology of what's going on within our bodies. So please stick with me. It's about a 25-minute call. And then we're also going to share with you what we, as is anybody who has invited you to this call, have really discovered to help our bodies in really profound ways, as far as not only our gut, but how that affects our whole systems of things. So I will share my screen. And of course, if you have any questions, anyone, please definitely let me know. And uh, I am happy to answer them after the call. All right. So let me just minimize this here and make this larger. So again, welcome to our gut health call that we do once a month. I believe it's the third third Wednesday of every month. Summertime has definitely encroached upon my mind and body and playing with the young ones, but we're going to be talking about gut health today. So thank you for being here. As I mentioned before, we are so proud to announce that LifeVantage has not only been at the forefront of nutrigenomics, which is really looking into how our natural compounds and how our natural herbs come together synergistically blended to really affect our cellular behaviors. But as a company that has been on the forefront of not only nutrigenomics, but health in general, we certainly have highly educated individuals that are leading our force, where they truly understand how important it is to really address our health through our microbiome. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, and some of the things that we've found to be extremely beneficial, not only in our current regimen, but also for many, 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 many others. So I'm really excited to share this. So as you can realize, as a baby, when we, are birthed, this is what we hold the most importance on, right? When you're holding that new little baby, are they eating correctly? Are they breastfeeding correctly? Are they pooping? What does their poop look like? I mean, these are some milestones of what we look for to make sure that we have a truly healthy baby, and that, that their environment is really set up for beautiful, healthy expressions of being a newborn. And of course, sleep, even though it's on the bottom right, it is probably the number one important thing that we need to integrate into our daily lives, because that really helps to reset us and regulate all of our systems. So why do we kind of get away from all of this? And as we grow into adults, as in the stories that we're taught from our family traditions, I mean, and also into the busy, busy, busy lives of being not only parents but just working individuals, we often forget how important it is to really eat from our own environment, for one, to eat properly and not just always on the go or processed foods. Are we truly, truly looking at our poop? And we will today. I'm going to ask you to, kind of take a look at these slides, and they're just cartoons, so don't worry. And it's so important. I kid you not. Just start, if you could do anything for yourself today on a health regimen, I leave you with this. Journal every single day how much sleep that you get every single night. And it will make a grave impact on how, your energy levels, your clarity of mind, the way that you're feeling, the way that you're repairing. It is so hugely important. So as we move on, we really want to ask ourselves, and I ask people of this all the time when I'm counseling with them, is, are we experiencing, excuse me, optimal health now? And if I could ask you a larger question, where do you see yourself health wise 5 years from now? Are you running the same rat race? Have you really even thought about it? Because I want to say it's one of the greats that has said, I want to say it's Tony Robbins, is that if you haven't thought of where you want to be 5 years from now, you're already there. So if the conditions that you're living in now are somehow not resonating with how you feel, how you really want to project yourself into the world, the legacy that you would like to leave, then we really need to start to make small changes and small habits into larger ones, so that 5 years from now, it's going to show up for you. And hopefully a year from now, and hopefully 3 years from now, and maybe even just a month or two from now. So gut health is so foundational to our overall health. I was just listening to some TED Talks just to kind of refresh my memory on, some of the information. And one of the doctors who had that I was listening to, she really dedicated her whole life to studying the gut microbiome and how important it is. And some of the things that she had mentioned is, long term, when we're thinking about our long term health, like I just asked you, we are really looking at, when we approach gut health as a priority in our life, we're really looking at more energetic. We're definitely sick less often, certainly showing up with a lot more mental clarity and emotional well being. That is huge, especially with this pandemic that's been going on. So, the antithesis to that, she said, versus what we're seeing right now is an overwhelm in much younger generations, I must say, autoimmune conditions, diabetes, degenerative disorders like Alzheimer's, emotional issues is on the rampant, like anxiety and depression. All of these can be actually traced back and actually related to the health of our gut microbiome. So as you see here, we're looking at exercise, nutrition, sleep, and gut health. Those are the top tiers of our foundational overall health. The gut brain connection is so huge. One of the other TED Talks that I was listening to, it was quite interesting because she shared his own personal story, and it might be similar to yours. We were told as little kids, definitely wipe, before, you leave the bathroom, wash your hands, don't touch this, don't touch that. We're so conditioned nowadays to use antibacterial soap, to not necessarily play in the dirt or outside as much, just due to many different conditions that show up in our world. Well, what's happening is we're oftentimes losing some of the relationship that we have to healthy bacteria, especially when we start to look at and the progression of antibiotics and when that started to come into play, and how that truly made an impact on having living good bacteria outweigh the bad bacteria that can often, lead to disease and illness, which our moms, our dads warned us against, right? So we want to find that balance. We want to know how to actually apply that into our lives and keep our gut microbiome healthy and happy. Did you know that we have trillions of healthy different species of bacteria that are living in our gut on a regular basis? And we can actually lose some of that bacteria and those healthy bacteria and strains of bacteria that actually help to break down our foods and actually, keep everything sound based on some of the choices that we make in our life. So let's do a little gut check. Did you know, again, that 74% of Americans actually have chronic gut issues? I was certainly one of them. I didn't really realize that all of the pains after even eating ice cream or, just even going to feeling like need to go to sleep and I don't have any clarity after I eat, a heavy meal of carbohydrates or things with gluten in them. I mean, those were some of the telltale signs where I was feeling so lethargic in my day and just couldn't get, motivated or feel like I had oomph. And this was, gosh, 20 years ago. So, a much younger version of myself and still going through all of these. So, upset stomach, gas, bloating, heartburn. Oh gosh, I think I probably ruined my stomach with just taking ibuprofen and Tylenol due to the pain that I was receiving, oftentimes. And so that interrupted that. Unintentional weight changes, sleep disturbances, brain fog, like I mentioned, chronic fatigue, food allergies, mood swings, autoimmune conditions. I mean, and then a lot of people actually come to me for conditions like SIBO, and Crohn's. So those are a lot more rampant in our society. And if you have any inclination that you fall a little heavier than you want to on this checklist, this is where you really need to pay attention to what we can do to further help our guts to be healthy and happy. One of the things that we always like to bring out is, especially in our young teenagers, and I have many clients that are in their young 20s, and anxiety and depression, especially because so much stress and pressure is not only put on them in today's social media world, with a lot of different influences coming in, and not just their core group of friends that are coming in, but rather the stress of that, but also due to the fast-paced lifestyle that we've so become accustomed to, thinking that the foods that we pick up that are highly processed that we may not be thinking of, that we're now feeding to our children's for year after year after year, can certainly change their gut microbiome so significantly that it's showing up in different ways that we just assume, okay, well, they're going to need to go on antidepressant medication, or they're going to need to go on this. But really, when we can do our gut check on a regular basis and check in, as a Hawaiian would say, with their na'au, and really truly feel what's going on in there and pay attention to that, that can really make a grave difference in our health. So as you can see, these statistics here, antidepressant use went up significantly between 2005 and 8. It's just, again, an epidemic. So here's where I said, let's do a poop check so your poop doesn't lie. We certainly want to be somewhere with this cool guy in the middle, a little bit of smooth, a little bit of form. We certainly want great color. We don't want too light. That can indicate certain things and certain illness. We definitely don't want, IBS and on the spectrum of where we're seeing diarrhea, or even so dry that we're clumpy and actually maybe even smaller pieces where we're not moving properly, that probably is a good indication that you're not taking in enough fiber, which happens to be part of the prebiotic system that we certainly need. And a lot of people don't even realize that they need it, including, again, myself. I did not know until I knew, until somebody educated me on some of the information we're going to share. So, love, love, love this. And I love this because I'm an advocate for somebody, as well as all of us, for people who are obviously, we have to go out there and survive. And surviving nowadays is not hunting and fishing and tending the land and growing our own food. And that really helps us to keep us in balance. Today's environment, our survival rate is actually all pretty much up in here, and that's because we're behind a computer. We're thinking of new inventions. We're making sure that this company is structurally, moving correctly, on and on and on. I can go on and on. So the significance and why some of the clients that I actually see on a regular basis, and a lot of my business partners as well, is that we want to help to make sure that their sharpest tool is going to be their brain clarity. And we have some things that obviously target that. But when we can first and foremost target our gut, to which actually talks to our brain on a regular basis. Who of you have known, like, when a certain thought comes into your head? Think of a big fear. I mean, do you have a fear of heights or something? Where do you first feel it? Oh, it just drops right into your stomach. You almost want to, vomit or throw up. That's the relationship and the neural connection that is happening. So when we can obviously start to increase the messengers and the information that is nice and healthy down in our gut, guess what? That feeds our brain. Our gut is known as our second brain. So it's very, very, again, important on our mood, our stress, our anxiety, the neurotransmitters, like I was mentioning. All of these really play a huge part in making sure that our emotional health, as well as our mental health, is alive and well as well. I love this quote by Psychology Today: probiotics, not Prozac. So um, if your gut is not healthy, your immunity is certainly compromised. So we all, especially with in Hawaii right now, we're even seeing an influx of COVID cases coming up. It is something that is on everyone's mind. So again, 70% of our immune system is right there in our gut. We want to make sure that you can find a bunch of information such as this quoted here: improving gut microbiota profile by personalized nutrition supplementation known to improve the immunity can be one of the prophylactic ways of by which the impact of this disease can be minimized. And so this is specifically talking to COVID. And there we go. We want to make sure that we are making the right choices, everything that we can, in order to strengthen our immunity and ward off a lot of illnesses and diseases, and especially those that are floating around that are unfortunately taking lives. So, contributing factors, people always say, well, how do I know? Or, how do I, realize if this was, a part of my journey? Well, you know, contributing factors to an unhealthy gut is certainly delivery of birth. When we actually go through your mom's vaginal canal, we're actually taking in our first microbiome and all of that goodness to actually set up the health of our own personal microbiome. So with more and more cesarean births, we're seeing that there's more correlation to ADHD, depression, ADD, many different things that are affecting our youth, and that maybe that can't even express right now. So we definitely get a lot of communication going on just through breastfeeding. And so again, without that communication, without that saliva happening between mom's breast and all of the nutrients that the baby is communicating back to the mom, and the mom actually's body is so intelligent that it actually makes this perfect little formula to give back to set up the health and the longevity of your child. When we turn to things such as formula or and things that are not of ourselves, giving of our own actual natural bodies what we're producing and what the baby's asking for, it can definitely make an impact on the microbiome of the child as they grow up into adults. Genetics certainly play effect. Diet and nutrition is huge. We have choices, people. So this is where education such as this come in. Medications and antibiotics. It's just I can't even say enough. And hopefully, enough about the importance of a probiotic. Certainly during and after taking antibiotics, because those just wipe out all of your good and bad little germs that we have in there. And lifestyle. Who knew, right? Did you know that just meditating every day, keeping a stress-free environment, both in your home for not only yourself but also for your children, and can make a huge difference in the way that our biochemistry reacts to these stressors and what it puts off. If it's putting off too much adrenaline, it can obviously shift and take us out of balance. Travel, environmental exposures, etc. So, what if we're improving our gut health? Could we radically change our health and well-being? Well, definitely yes. And if I could tell you, if I could ask you this, would you be willing, if I could show you a way, would you be willing to take some of the steps in that direction? So truly ask yourself, are you here just to educate and not act? Or are you here to actually take a chance, trust in your gut, and really move forward um, with really helping your overall health. I don't believe that it's a coincidence that you're listening to this information right now, and I do believe that you're going to be really elated to hear some of the solutions that LifeVantage has found. So we're not going to get too much into this. I feel like, these are Susan's slides. Definitely your gut microbiome, I had mentioned before, made up of trillions of cells that are helping our bodies to live a balanced life with based on the information that it's receiving, both through supplements, nutrition, environmental toxins, environmental um, you know, uh, phones, etc., stress, etc. So all of these are interacting into our gut microbiome, as well as we know that the microbiome actually doesn't only reside in the gut, but it actually starts from mouth to colon, and everything in between is basically a part of our microbiome. So as you can see here, it starts with the saliva, the tongue, the tonsils, the skin, the gut. It shows up. We most often look at the stool, the way that our skin is actually detoxing and shedding off, and what is it showing you of what's going on within your body? Because oftentimes, our skin being our largest organ, it's going to push out and a lot of the information that is actually happening on the inside. And of course, as a woman, our vagina is also included in that microbiome. Um, so here again, we talked about this a little bit: cardiovascular health, immune health, it makes nutrients. Oral health is huge. So we want to make sure we're taking care of that. Certainly brain health, as nutrient metabolism. I must say that a lot of people don't necessarily care about their health or maybe their longevity right now, but they do care about losing weight. And did you know that when we have a healthy microbiome, that we're actually metabolizing our food better, and actually it's being used and burned off as healthy energy versus storing it as fat, depending on what choices we make. And so again, another reason to be really careful about, and really proactive, I should say, about taking care of our gut microbiome. Epigenetics versus genetics is basically just saying that we have the choice, you guys. And so epigenetics is showing us that only 3% of our genetics are conditioned to never change. I'm never going to end up tomorrow having blue eyes. I cannot change that by eating too many blueberries. So, however, what I can change is 97% is malleable based on the information that I'm providing it. The quote that says, "We are what we eat," is truly a very huge statement that is exactly true. So take a look. That's where journaling your diet and your nutrition and what you're taking in. But is supplementation and nutrition enough? I don't know. That's why we get into our health call every single, on part of our education series that we offer month to month about activation. So, but today again, let's stick with the gut microbiome and the majority, as it shows here, in what we're concerned about, and this is what some of the solution that I'm about to talk about, is actually located in the lower part of our digestive tract. So the large intestines, the colon, etc. So and this is where we can actually, I love this analogy here. It's like a garden. So when we start to talk about, and I'm sure you've heard the probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics. Well, if we can look at our gut microbiome in particular as a healthy garden, what do we do first? We oftentimes will, if we feel compelled to do it, sometimes it's nice just to do a little 24-hour fast to really kind of give our body and our insides a break. If you want to couple that with a little detox, there's certainly different ways out there that we promote individually as health coaches. But clearing that, tilling that soil is really what we want to do. Okay, so I have red dirt that is not very porous, that doesn't grow very much. So I actually have to add dirt in order to mix it up, in order for anything to really truly take hold and grow nutritionally. So I need to first add what I call in my gut microbiome my prebiotics. It's like laying down the foundation for what is known as my probiotics. My probiotics are healthy strains that have all come together of basically seeds that I would plant in my garden. But the seeds and probiotics are actually healthy bacterial strains that have been identified and actually, in our case, freeze dried in order for it to get down into the system. Now, postbiotics, what is that? I have never heard of that, right? That's what I thought at first. Postbiotics is kind of like our compost. We want to continually fertilize and make sure that we're adding the right foods and the pH balance is right. So we want to make sure that we have good, healthy compost, if you will. That's considered a postbiotics. So guess what? Everybody feeds off of one another. The prebiotics are not for your consumption. It's for the consumption of your probiotics. The postbiotics is actually helping both the prebiotics and the probiotics to really work in conjunction. So you have this beautiful, gorgeous, healthy garden. I'm going to keep on moving by. So this is our gut healthy trio, is the probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics there. And you can see that we work with a company called Wellmune. We have some really beautiful strains that are very, very important for our bodies to digest and also to work well in growing the communities. And I want to say that oftentimes, and Susan mentions this in her talk, is that if we have a leaky gut system and we're experiencing all that gas and some, aches and pains, if we eat certain things, oftentimes they're leaky gut is, the word for it, but it needs to be filled with beautiful foundation because if we're going to put probiotics in and the leaky gut and all these little minuscule little pukas, as I call them, or little holes in the system of things are not doing well, they can actually multiply into what we don't want, and we don't want an overgrowth of bacteria, period, without having a nice um, uh, foundation for it to feed upon and to grow healthy within. So that's why prebiotics are so important to our probiotics here. What I do want to add real quickly, I know I'm running a little overtime here, is our probiotics are so unique, you guys. A lot of people tell me, my clients, Marty, on a probiotic, great, I love it. Where are you getting your probiotic from? Is it Smart Starts coated? So what that means, and is it freeze dried? Because oftentimes in the capsules that you're getting over the counter, air is getting to it, which makes it inefficient, to get into our bodies. And if it's not time release or coated like ours are, oftentimes we're only getting 5% of what we're paying for. And whereas with LifeVantage, we can assure you between 7 to 10 hours, depending on your system and what you've eaten, it will time release into the lower tract, and actually up to 70% will get down to where it's needed most. So that is really amazing, and I love bragging about that, about our probiotics. We're actually going to change up the way that they look. Right now, it's 3 little caplets, but starting next month, we've come up with a new formulation where it's just going to be one easier capsule to take. So here's where it is. It can, controls veggie capsules, and the pio releases again into the larger area of our gut. So it's 15 times more effective than other brands that are typically found over the counter and even in your very prestigious health food stores. So the prebiotics, I think I've said enough of this. I can't tell you enough what a difference this has made in my life, with mental clarity, with the regularity of my bowel movements, just with energy alone. I drink this first thing in the morning with a little bit of Axio. I've replaced my Axio with for my coffee, which is great. And so this is a great combination to start my day off of. And then our daily wellness. This is our postbiotics. So our daily wellness is really unique, and I'll sum it up after this. It's it's elderberry yeast ferment, which I was unfamiliar with, but it supports activation of our immune cells. Again, it works as a postbiotic, and this is what really helps to kind of lay down that or help to uh, feed the nutrients again and again and again. Beautiful, beautiful combination. Coupled with that is vitamin C, vitamin D3, and then of course zinc, all in these really minute little uh, uh, quantities, excuse me, of the way, but the way that LifeVantage thinks is we only need a certain amount. So let's figure out what that kind of magical little amount is. Let's synergistically put it together so that they all work in harmony that much more effectively within our body. And that's what we're seeing. I've had really great success with those that have been taking the wellness after maybe getting the flu or after symptoms that they thought might have been COVID, and really rebounding a lot quicker. So I'm very happy to announce that we've come up with this. We're very forward thinking. So don't forget to feed your weeds. We definitely want to stay gluten-free, no sugar, dairy if you can avoid it. These are definitely, things that don't add to the health of our gut microbiome if done on imbalanced. And hydrate for sure. Well, more sleep, like I mentioned. Eat more whole foods if you can, and certainly exercise daily. So here we are. We have at LifeVantage our probiotics, prebiotics, and daily wellness working in conjunction with your healthy gut microbiome. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to stop this share here, and thank you for bearing with a little extra today. And I'm going to give you the ability at the moment to unmute just in case anybody had any specific questions. And I'll go ahead and take a look at the chat. Oh yes, the daily wellness and Axio is amazing. So yeah. All right, everyone. Well, if anyone doesn't have any, if anyone does not have questions for me, I will end the call. I really thank you for your attention today. I hope this gets in the hands of many, because I want to say 86% of our population here in the US in particular is suffering from gut health issues. And I kid you not, I can talk cellular health all day long. The minute I start talking about gut health, they're like, sign me up. So go out there and what I love, love, love is Dr. Dixon, who is our chief science officer. He said that even our activators work that much more efficiently when we are taking care of our guts. So we certainly want to take care of that. So, all right, listen to your guts, you guys. Aloha.